Thanks for joining me today. This is Lynn with KeepInkingUp.com. I'm an independent demonstrator for Stampin' Up! In San Antonio, Texas. And today I wanted to share how I put together this card. I posted this card last Friday on a couple of Facebook groups and got just a ton of responses. And one other demonstrator actually asked for instructions on this card, so I thought it'd be easiest, rather than to write it out, is to go ahead and do a video. So that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to show you, I'm going to show you how I put together this card. This is a very labor-intensive card. It is not one that I would recommend for mass producing. It did take me a little bit of time, so I'm not going to show you all of the coloring that I did, but I am going to explain what I did. It probably took me about 45 minutes to make this card from start to finish, so that is a little bit of time. But anyway, I thought I'd go ahead and get started. If you've watched my previous videos, you know that I do a lot of pre-cutting of card bases and layers to help me get started. And so I went to my box of bases and layers, and I took out a shaded spruce card base and some Whisper White and basic black layers. This is regular Whisper White cardstock. Someone asked me if I used thick Whisper White, and no, I used regular Whisper White cardstock. This is 3 3/4 by 5 inches. And I used Memento ink to stamp the large ornament from the Beautiful Baubles stamp set that is available in our 2018 holiday catalog right now. I just love the stamp set. I really like the grouping of little ornaments here. They remind me so much of my grandmother, especially these particular images. But I used this large image for this card. I think it just screamed it needed to be colored, so I wanted to use my blends with this particular image. So I stamped this image multiple times on my piece of cardstock. I'm going to show you some processes here. I stamped the ornament numerous times. I tried to get 3 or 5 ornaments on the card. Someone else asked me if I started with a sheet of 12 by 12 and then cut it, but no, like I said, I did start with a layer and I stamped the images however they would fit on my layering piece already. But if you wanted to, you could stamp an entire 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper and cut it up that way if you would prefer. But this is how I did it. And the first thing that I did was I went ahead and colored the entire background behind the ornaments with my light Crumb Cake Blends marker. It was really easy, just get a smooth background to begin with. And then once I did that, I brought in the dark crumb cake and just added some shadows along the edges of the ornament. Now, I don't know anything about light source and all that kind of thing. I am not fancy when it comes to shading. I'm still learning. Basically, I just kind of drew a little bit of a line on the edge of my ornaments and then blended it out into the lighter crumb cake. And I think it made a huge difference. I think if you look at this one, which is really kind of flat, and then this one, I think that just adding that little bit added a lot of pop to the ornaments. But there's no specific, light source or direction or anything like that. So just sit down and color and have fun. And that's exactly what I did here. Now, once I got to this stage, I went ahead and started coloring with all of my colors. And like I said, I'm not going to show you, I'm not going to explain, show you how I colored each individual ornament because that would just take way too much time. But I am going to tell you which colors that I used. I used the dark and the light smoky slate for all of the tops of my ornaments, thinking that they were metal. And then I started coloring with my, I pulled out all of my blends that I own, and I got to coloring. So for my blue ball, I used Bermuda Bay, Pool Party, and Night of Navy blends. For my green ball, I used Granny Apple Green, Old Olive, and Shaded Spruce. For the yellow one, I used Daffodil Delight and Mango Melody. For my orange one, I used Calypso Coral and Pumpkin Pie. For my red one, I used Cherry Cobbler and Pink Pirouette. Now, Pink Pirouette is a retired color that was in the previous release of the blends markers, and we don't have that anymore. I believe now we have powder pink. I'm not exactly sure. I don't own powder pink at the moment, but we do have another pink, and we do have lovely lipstick now as well, but I don't happen to own that yet. So those were the colors that I had. And then my purple one, I have barely a little bit showing, and I have Highland Heather and Rich Razzleberry there. So I colored all of the ornaments. I did a little bit of shading. I'm still learning how to shade with my blends, so this is just a process. And I recommend that you just go ahead and get your colors out and start coloring, however, fill them in however you'd like. You can't do it wrong. Just get to coloring, and I'm sure you'll end up with a really pretty colorful background. And I don't think people say that, oh, these look really great and I'm really good. I'm not very good at it, and if you look really close, I can show you all of my mistakes and shading, but I think when you look at the overall card, it looks quite nice. I think anyone who would receive it would be I'm quite happy, at least I hope so. So since I got so many comments, and actually this was requested by Rosemary, so I hope, Rosemary, that you're watching this and getting the instructions like you requested on Facebook. But since I got such a wild response on Facebook with this card, I did make several more over the weekend. So I wanted to go ahead and share those with you as well. I made the same basic ornaments, and then I just put them on different color card bases. So my first one I did with the shaded spruce, and I think that looks wonderful, a very Christmassy color. But then I also did one on Daffodil Delight, and I don't know if you can tell, but I also added a little bit of Wink Estella. I don't know if you can pick that up on the video or not. There's a sparkle on that particular. I did not do it on all the ornaments. I thought that might be a little bit too much, but there's a little bit of sparkle on the yellow ornament. I put it above the sentiment. The sentiment is a piece of basic black cardstock. I believe it's 3/4 of an inch, wherein I stamped and embossed the Merry Christmas and Happy New Year with our white embossing powder, and I just cut the paper on an angle just for a little bit of interest on that. And the sentiment is popped up on dimensionals on top of the colored layer. The colored layer is adhered to the black matte just with Tombow glue, and then those two layers are then popped up on my card base with Stampin' Dimensionals. So there's a little bit of dimension to this card, and I think it works out really, really well. So that's the Daffodil Delight version. This is Rich Razzleberry. I think it's my favorite. I pulled colors from all of the ornaments that I colored. This one, unlike in my sample, where'd it go? And here, my purple one was up at the top. But in this one, the purple one is at the bottom, and you can see more of the Rich Razzleberry, and there's the Highland Heather on there. And this one, the card base, is Calypso Coral to go with the orange ornament. Then this one is the Granny Apple Green, which goes with the green ornament. And then this one is on Night of Navy, which is a little bit dark. You can barely see the black border on that one, but I still think it's quite nice. It pulls off of the Night of Navy and the blue ornament. And this one is also off the blue ornament is the Bermuda Bay. So anyway, I hope you found this video helpful on how I put together this very labor-intensive but very colorful, bright and cheery Christmas card. So thanks again for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks. Bye-bye.